Hello again. Sorry about that. That was a small glitch, but we're back. Good evening and welcome to another episode of Become a Better Man. My name is Tunde Disu. And over the past few months, we have been looking at different aspects of what it means to over the past few weeks, we have been looking at how to handle difficult people, unreasonable people, how to handle difficult and unreasonable people. And one of the things we established at the beginning is the fact that they are everywhere. They are everywhere. And the truth is, you and I are just one of them. You are difficult. Some people think you are a difficult person, you are unreasonable. Some people think I am a difficult person and I can be unreasonable. And so everywhere you turn, either at home, at work, in the society, on the train, on the tube, in the bus, in the taxi, in the pub, wherever you go, in the grocery shop, there is always somebody who is going to prove a little bit difficult. Some will even show signs of being unreasonable. And that is life. There's nothing you can do about that. They are everywhere. Thank you, Steve Adeye, for joining us. They are everywhere. Wherever you look, there are people that are difficult. There are people that you just don't get along with. But that's what makes life. Part of what makes life goes. And really, because they are everywhere, because wherever you go, they're there, because they are in your house, they're sitting next to you in the office, they are the one leading choir in church on Sunday, they're the one looking after your children in their schools and all of that. You just have to learn how to handle them, how to live with them, how to make life work with them. And sometimes it can be challenging, it can be difficult. It's a task. But the good thing about every task is all it requires is for you to know how. Once you know the how, the problem is almost solved. You just now have to apply what you know as the how, and then the problem is solved. So for the past 3 weeks, we have been looking at how to handle difficult and maybe sometimes unreasonable people. How to handle difficult and unreasonable people. And we started by saying these people are everywhere, like I said. But more than that, they are just not logical. They are not rational. They just defy the laws of nature, of naturality, and the sense of doing things right. It just seems to be far from them. And yet, they live with you, they live with me, they work with you and I, they are everywhere. So, the essence of this topic is really for us to have tools in our hands to learn what is required on us, from us, with us, by us, to be able to live with these people, to work with them, to socialize with them. The Bible talks about, if it's up to you, live at peace with all men. So one of the things we need to do is to learn how to handle these people so that we can live in peace and live at peace with them. So we have looked at the different types and the different categories of difficult and unreasonable people and how to relate to each and every one of them. Then last week we started looking at what can I do for myself? What can you do for yourself? What can you do to help you be at peace? Because you must remember that when you have a pain, when you have a discomfort, when you have something that is out of kilt or out of alignment in your life, that becomes a sore point. For instance, say you are cutting your nails and you dig a little bit deeper and you cut some flesh. Until that tiny open is healed, everything seems to be gravitating towards hurting you and touching the wound and making the wound hurt you. And as much as you try to hide it, it seems to always be the point of contact. And the reason for that is because our body, our brain, our system, the way we are wired is such that when there is something that is not quite right within our system, every attention is diverted to that spot. Hi, Rita. Thank you for joining me. Yinka Jishebutu, thank you for joining me. Thank you, sir, for joining us on today's program. So, really, you have all these things ganging up, and all your faculties are already paying attention to that area that is not functioning, or that is hurting or not healed yet. It's the same thing when you have difficult and unreasonable people in your life. They tend to sap your energy, all your effort, all your concentration, everything about you tend to be gravitating towards appealing to them, appeasing them, making them happy, keeping tab on them, making sure, and gradually you spend all your time, your energy attending and relating to these people. But if you take these programs that we've been looking at for the past 3 weeks, if you open it up and digest it and take out the nuggets of the things we've shared so far, and you start to apply them, suddenly you start having peace in that area as far as those difficult and unreasonable people are concerned. Dr. Shegun Fatuma, thank you for joining us today. So last week we said there are 2 ways to deal with these people. Number 1 is to help yourself. What can I do? Number 2 is to help these people so that in the process you can help yourself, you can help them, and maybe help others that have been affected by their difficulty and unreasonable character traits. As a quick recap, we looked at what do you have to do to help yourself last week. The first thing we said was you have to set limits. You have to set limits. What do I mean by that? Difficult and unreasonable people, they are like a magnet. They have a way of pulling you into their enclave and just lock you down into where they are. But you need to find a way of setting a limit. There's nothing wrong in you listening to people who want to maybe whinge, maybe complain, maybe just bare their minds or their hearts to you. There's nothing wrong with that. The danger is if you're not careful, you get drawn into that emotional downward spiral. So that's where you need to set a limit. I will listen to you, but to this extent. Anything outside of this, you need professional help. That doesn't make you a mean person. It just it helps you to know where the line is. It helps them also to know where the line is. The other thing we said you could do is to rise above it. Rise above it. What do I mean by you rising above it? Difficult people, unreasonable people, their main issue, the core of the issue they have is emotional. It's emotional. And therefore, you need to learn how to distance yourself from their emotional entanglement, from getting them to almost suffocate you emotionally. You have to learn how to rise above it. And mostly when they are displaying their difficulty traces, it will be as if you look at them and you think, that's childish. I mean, come on, you're too old for that. And because you identify that as a child, you need to do is to say, you know what, I'm not going to come down to that level because that will make me a child as well. Therefore, I'm going to rise above that level and stay at this level. And in the process, maybe I can drag you up and draw you out. The third thing you can do for yourself is to establish boundaries. Establish boundaries. Once you establish boundaries, and like I said 2 weeks ago, boundaries are things that we do to keep the ones inside safe and keep the ones outside. I'm so sorry about that. The internet is playing up tonight. It's just cutting on and off. But we'll keep going. Sorry about that. So, we said you need to set boundaries. And when you set these boundaries, make it known to these people. Let them know where the boundaries are, because they will try to push it. They will try to test your resolve and your stand as far as your boundary is concerned, you need to let them know this is not moving. It's going to stay where it is. Another thing you can do to help yourself is learn to fight and walk away. Live to fight another day. Don't die in the fight. Pick your fight. Choose what you fight about. Choose how you fight in it. That way you're preserving your integrity, you're preserving your energy, you're keeping your mind safe. You are not too stretched and too pulled in different directions, all just because you have to prove a point. No, you don't need to prove a point. You're already a point. Another thing you can do to help yourself is to use your support system. Usually we have people around us that can see more than we can see. Lean on them. Take advice from them. Check things with them. In most cases, these people will tell you, we've seen this before. This is how to deal with it. This is how to go about it. And the last thing we said you can do is to just get up and walk away. Get up and walk away. Vote with your feet and walk away. That way, you are saving yourself from all the issues and the aggros of these difficult and unreasonable people. So whether it is in your family, whether it is at work, whether it's anywhere, maybe your boss, your spouse, your children, whatever it is, difficult and unreasonable people, they just have a way of making life not very pleasant. And because of that, we tend to, naturally, as human beings, what we tend to do is to prejudge and just kind of push them away and put them in a place and don't relate to them. Or now, that is an approach. That's a way that you can do, but you have to be tactical. You have to be tactical, and we'll get into all of that later. But one thing we must remember is this. One thing we all must remember is that irrespective of how difficult and how unreasonable people are, irrespective of how much pain and discomfort these people are causing you, irrespective of how much of your time and energy that is being used up and gazumped by these people, you must also remember there is a good element about them. There is something good about everybody. You just need to find it. You need to know how to elicit for it, how to go after it, because in the process, you will discover that helping them to see the good part of them will start to rub off on them to become better. And in the process, they might be healed or killed or helped or whatever you want to call it. So those are some of the things you can do for yourself to help yourself, which was what we looked at last week. Kendi Ojedron, thank you for joining us. My sister, Bisi Salako, thank you. I appreciate you, ma'am. This week, we're going to look at the second aspect of what you need to do or what you can do as far as handling difficult and unreasonable people. What can you do to help them? Last week, it was what you can do to help you. This week, we're looking at what can you do to help them. And in the process of helping them, you're actually helping yourself. Because by helping them, they'll become better. They will learn new skills. They will display new traits. They will show new temperaments and all of that. And in the course of that, the trouble that they are giving to you, the pain that they are causing for you, everything they are doing that is making your life miserable will start to wane away. So by helping them, you are actually helping yourself. Akel Shalabul Kabir, thank you, sir, for joining me. So, what can you do to help them? I know you don't want to help them. I know they've caused you so much trouble. I know they are just, but guess what? They're in your life. You can't just wish them away. They are in your life. So you might as well find a way to help them. Since you've applied what we talked about last week to help yourself, now you can take it to the next step and try to help them. And that's what we'll be looking at this week. Quickly, what can you do to help these people? Let me ask first of all, is there anybody out there that, I don't want you to give any name, is there anybody, any of you out there that would say, yes, I have some very difficult, challenging people in my life, wherever aspect of your life they are? Do you have anybody, or do you have any group of people or number of people that you will say, this is a problem, this is a difficult person in my life? Just a yes or no will be fine. Because I know I have them. I know some people will take me as a difficult and unreasonable person, and that is life. But the truth is, you can't wish them away. Sheikh Fatima said many. You can't wish them away, so you might as well learn how to live with them. So what can you do to help these people? The first thing you can do is this. Difficult and unreasonable people, they like to place attention on you to make you feel uncomfortable or feel inadequate. They like to touch the area of your life where they know will hurt you, the part of you that they know is sensitive, the timing, the place, the word to say, the action to take, the look to give, whatever it is they can do to just make you uncomfortable. That is their strength. That is what they do. Make you uncomfortable and make you feel inadequate, especially if it's the aggressive type. If it's the aggressive type, God help us. All they want to do is to tell you, you are not up to it, you cannot do it, you don't have what it takes, you are not cut out for this is above you. And on and on and on and on they go. So what can you do? Simple. Turn the table on them. Put the spotlight on them. How do you do that? Simple. Ask them questions. Ask them questions. These people are very quick to point out there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with the way you are doing it. There's something wrong in what you are saying. There's something wrong in what you are wearing. There's something wrong. They are always picking up the negative things. They are always only concentrating on what is wrong. And the unfortunate thing is, even though they have a list of what is wrong, they will never provide or suggest a solution. Somebody once said, if you live with a judge, you are always on trial. If you live in a house or you work in an office or you hang out with friends that are very judgmental, they are the judge, the magistrate, the everything. You are always in the cubicle. You are always on trial. The intention of these people is to dominate and to control you. That's all it is. They want to dominate you. They want to control you. They want to dictate how you live your life and how you view things and things like that. That's all they want to do. The danger in this is this. Naturally, you want to defend yourself. Naturally, you want to tell them that's not true. That's not who I am. I can do better than that. I know what I'm doing. I know how I'm saying it. Naturally, that's what you want to do. But unfortunately, if you do that, you are just fueling their ego. You are fueling their energy. You are giving them ammunition to hurt you even more. What you can do to help these people is for you to change the dynamics of the relationship. Change the dynamics of the conversation. Change the dynamic of the interaction. How do you do that? Ask them constructive and probing questions. Ask them a question that will force them to look inward rather than look at you. Ask them questions that will demand for them to look on the inside. Look at themselves. Put a mirror in front of their face and see who is in the mirror. I'll give you an example. Say you have a friend, and every time you say something, they shout you down. Every time you say this, it's not good enough. Everything, when you do this, they complain about it. If you don't do it, they complain about it. you can turn the table on that friend or that person, that colleague, that family member, or that boss, or whatever, whoever it is. You just say, look, if you keep treating me with disrespect like this, I'm going to have to really walk away from this relationship, because you're not letting me breathe. But the question is that what you want? Do you want me to walk out of this relationship? Do you want us to part ways here? Do you want us to not just talk again? If that's what you want, it's fine by me. But what I won't take is for you to constantly put me down, try to control me, try to tell me what to do, how to do, where to do, and all of that. You're suffocating life out of me. So tell me, do you want us to go our separate ways? The reality is, 9 times out of 10, they cannot do without your relationship. But until you bring it to their face that they are on the verge of losing that relationship, they won't wake up. They will not wake up. So by putting them on the spotlight, by turning the table on them, you will neutralize their undue influence over you. Next time they want to talk to you, they will think twice. Next time they want to complain about you, they will think about the question you asked them. So the first thing you can do in handling a difficult person, especially helping the person maybe for the first time to realize that what they're doing is wrong, is by showing them, put the spotlight on them by asking them this thought-provoking, constructive question. Is this what you want? Are you happy for this to go down this road? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy for it. The question is, are you? 9 times out of 10, they will change. I don't know if this is helping anybody. I don't know if you can relate to this. Irene, thank you. Irene Ngo Amagi said, yes, thank you. Thank you, Ma Oge Akinola. Thank you for joining us. So the first thing you can do to help these people is to help them see that what they're doing is not working. The second thing you can do, which sometimes it can be difficult, especially when you have been at the receiving end of these people's bad manners and bad behaviors and difficult treatment. This second thing can be challenging. But if you can pull through, if you can push through, if you can just hold yourself together to do it, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. Well, Shegun Fatima is asking, will this approach work for a boss? You see, the reality is this. When you have a boss, the first thing you must remember is that you are, unless he is the owner of the business, but if it's an office where you are both employees, that is the ground zero. Both of you are employees of the organization, except that he's in a higher position than you are. The truth is there's always somebody above him or her that you can take your matter to. And even if he's the head of the head of everything, there is a law on this in this land that governs such thing where you can take. So you can say to him, look, sir, with all due respect, I respect you as a person. I honor your office. But you must remember too that I'm a human being. And I have the law on my side. The way you are treating me, if you will continue this way, you will leave me with no choice but to take this maybe outside of the organization. Because then you are saying to him, he will have to explain to those above him, how did we get to this position? In most cases, they will change. Yeah, they will not tell you, okay, I will change. But just watch, because you are now, you have put the light in their face. You have shown them now that so far, no further. The next thing is change. I don't know if that answers your question, Dr. Fatima. Charles. Pastor Charles, thank you. Yemi Adetayo, thank you for joining us. The second thing you can do to help these people is to learn to separate the issue from the person. Separate the issue from the person. Be hard on the issue, but be gentle on the person when you are establishing your strong position. One of the key strengths that every problem solver, good problem solver, one of the key strengths they have is that in most cases they are very good at communication. They are excellent communicators. And if you are able to lean on your ability to communicate, to articulate, to present your case properly, you can say to this person, say, look, John, you're my friend. We grew up together. But I need you to understand that I love you with all of my heart. But I cannot tolerate the way you do this and that. I have sat on this for so long, and now I think we are both old enough that we need to start changing in this area. Now, you are not attacking John as a person. You are attacking and focusing on the issue that, or the area in which John is being a problem, a difficult and unreasonable friend to you. So you're saying to him, look, we are friends and I appreciate our friendship. But what I will not accept no more is for you to take my car, drive my car, empty finish the petrol, and don't even think you need to fill it back. And don't even have the decency, the courtesy to tell me, oh, by the way, the petrol in the car is finished. What if I just get in the car and halfway through the motorway, the petrol runs out and there's no petrol station? That cannot continue. So the issue is not about John. The issue is about what John is doing, which is what you are addressing. So in this second thing is separate the person from the issue. Separate the person from the problem. In every communication situation, there are two elements present: the relationship and then the issue. And sometimes when we're in the midst of fight or quarrel or disagreement or tough, heated conversation, we fail to differentiate between the person and the issue. And that is why you'll say something and the person will not hear what you say, but they will take it personally because you have not separated the two. But if you're able to separate the two, you hold the person and you present the issue to the person. And they can see that you are not attacking me. You are addressing the issue. So that is the second thing you can do to help a difficult and unreasonable person to say, look, I need you to address this area of your life if this relationship is to prosper. The third thing you can do is to, how can I say this? Stop following, start leading. Stop following, start leading. I'll explain that. Every time you have conversation with somebody, every time you have interaction with another person, you are either leading the direction, or you are either dictating the direction and leading the flow of that communication, of that interaction, or you are following. Now, in a normal setting, in a proper setting, where two people or groups of people are communicating, it is give and take. You will lead and then you will follow. The other person will lead and the other person will follow. That is the way normal conversation or communication should flow. But when you are dealing with difficult and unreasonable people, they just want you to listen. They are the epitome of wisdom. After God created their wisdom, there was nothing left in the creation pot for anybody else. So they want to tell you everything. They want you to just listen and do as I say because I know better. But what you can do is this. In order to help this person, what you can do is to tactically, you have to be tactical and be creative in how you do this, is to use question to change the topic. Find a way where you burst into their stream and change the topic. And every time you change the topic, you've taken the leadership, the leading baton from them and you are holding it, but be careful, you won't hold it for long before they take it back from you. And then you need to find another point at which you can interject and change the topic. Say, for instance, you're talking about, I don't know, what do friends talk about these days, apart from Facebook and Twitter? Say you're talking about health, and you're talking about the good food that you should eat and the one that you should not touch, and this person is going on and on and on. You could then butt in and say, by the way, did you see now, because you've used the word by the way, because you've kind of jammed their frequency, as it were, that flow of transaction, of communication will stop at that point. Now you are leading where this conversation should go next. And that what that does is it forces them to stop almost spoon-feeding you with everything they know. It stops them in their track. It helps the conversation to be two-way rather than to be a monologue where you just sit there and hear what they have to say. So another way by which you can help these people, these difficult and unreasonable people, is for you to change from following to leading by changing at various intervals, change the topic or the direction or the flow of the conversation. Over time, they will learn that it's not just about them, it's about the communication. I don't know if this is helping anybody. The next thing you can do, this one is big. The next thing you can do is, in a case of bullies, the thing about bullies is this. They generally pick on those they perceive as weaker. People they think they can lord it over. People they think they can get over. People they think will be too scared to say anything. People they think they can crowd over and just pull their weight and their personality over. They are always looking for somebody that they perceive to be weaker than them. So as long as you remain passive and as long as you show that you are not active, that you are passive, that and you are not complaining, you're not challenging them, you've made yourself an easy target for bullies. But the truth is this: many bullies are actually cowards on the inside. Many bullies are victims of bullies themselves. Many bullies are victims of abuse, neglect, and all the other things you can put in the equation. Now, does that excuse their attitude or the practice of bullying? No, it doesn't. But that is the core of where they are. And so for them, in order to protect the fragility and the state of their emotion, which is very, very unstable, they think they can, they think by bullying you, nobody will discover how fragile they are. Bullies generally use the bullying tactics to fend away attention from themselves, from their insecurity, from how fragile they are, from their emotional state, which is very, very, very unstable. Many bullies, like I said, are victims of bullies themselves, but it does not excuse bullying in any form or shape. Now, what do you do? How can you help a bully? How can you help somebody who is a bully to help yourself? The best way to handle a bully is to stand up to a bully. It's as simple as that. You have to sum up the courage. You have to come up with the strength of character. You have to get to a point where you think, well, it can't get any worse than this. I remember watching a clip on Facebook maybe about a year ago about this group of school children. I don't know if any of you saw it. And these are all just young boys just playing about after school or thereabout. But standing and leaning against the wall was this big guy. I mean, he was bigger, completely way, way bigger than any of these other boys. And he was just standing against the wall, just leaning and watching. And this young boy started bullying this big guy. Imagine, was bullying him and punching him and slapping him, and all the other boys were shouting, hey, yeah, you, yeah. But it got to a point where the big guy thought, you know what, I've had enough of this. Suddenly, he picked up this small, tiny boy that was harassing him. He slammed this boy on the ground. Gosh, I thought all the bones in his body would break. It was a big lift up and crash on the floor. All the other boys that were shouting all just moved back. This boy that was on the floor tried to get up, couldn't get up. But guess what? If I'm a betting man, I can bet my last dollar that will be the last day in that school that anybody will bully that big guy. Because a time came when he summed up enough courage, enough strength. He grew enough backbone to stand up to the bully. That's all you can do to bullies. However, when you are standing up to bullies, you have to be tactical. You have to make sure that, number one, you have strategized how you're going to handle them, how you are going to deal with them. Number two, make sure you are not in a position of weakness. Say, for instance, a bully who comes into your space and just bullies you and all of that. When you want to stand up to that bully, literally don't do it sitting down. Get on your feet. Stand tall, right in his face. And when you are doing that, make sure there are other people around, especially people that have witnessed his attitude of bullying you. Because this is what will happen. All along, people you think are enjoying the joke on you for him bullying you. But the truth is they resent it. They resent the fact that you are being bullied. So a day will come. When that day comes and you, like, that's it, enough of this foolishness, and you stand up to him straight in the eye, in his face, all the other people there will have your back. Because they know you've come to the point where you can't take this anymore. In some instances, maybe in an office environment where maybe your boss or your supervisor is a bully, there's a way to deal with that. Keep a record. Keep a paper trail of all the incidents and what was said, who was there, what time it was in. Keep a paper trail. Then on that fateful day that you are ready to stand up to him, you're going to say, Mr. Johnson, you have been bullying me for the past 6 months. And I have a record here on the 19th of April, on the 22nd of April, on the 16th of June. You said this, you did this in the presence of this person. I've had enough of this and I'm taking this to the authority. But if you don't have a paper trail, if you don't have the record, it's going to be your word against his word. And if it's your supervisor or your boss, guess what? He's already have an edge over you. But when you have a paper trail of what has been going on, and you can demonstrate it by the records you've kept with proof of this person was there when you said this person was there when you did this, he'll call you and say, look, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was the effect of my actions on you. That's another way by which you can stand up to a bully. Another thing you can do to help somebody who is difficult and who is unreasonable is to set consequences. Set consequences. You see, the only freedom that we have in life is the freedom of choice. That's the only freedom we have. Once you have exercised that freedom, once you have let go that freedom of choice, once you have made that choice, that's it. Your freedom is gone. Because now you have set in motion, you have sown. The only thing you're going to get back is a harvest. So, what am I saying? When you make a choice, there will always be consequences. So, in terms of dealing with difficult people, in terms of dealing with people who are just unreasonable, when you set consequences, this is what you do. Let me use an example. Maybe that will clarify it. Maybe, let's say a case of husband and wife, where the husband is abusive and he's just a bully. He's just so difficult. I mean, he is just unbearable. The wife needs to set consequences. And this is what you do. Say to him, look, Philip, the next time you raise your hand at me, I'm going to call the police. The next time you raise your hand or you abuse the children, I will call the social services myself. What have you done? You have made known to this person that this choice that you are making, this choice that you have made, this path that you have chosen to walk down, there is a roadblock in front. It's called consequence. And in case you are not aware, let me show it to you. These are some of the consequences of your action. And when next time this action is repeated, you are going to come face to face with the consequence. Mostly people who are difficult and unreasonable can only see themselves. They only think about themselves. They only care about themselves. They are only bothered about themselves. They are the me, myself, and I category that we looked at last week. It's all about them. And unless you let them realize there is more to this world than yourself, there is more to your action than what you see. There is more to the result of what you are doing that you are not seeing. But I'm going to show it to you. Thank you, man. Pastor Chris Ogedengbe say, me, myself, and I. Yes, that's who they are. The whole world is about me, myself, and I. That's all they see. But when you bring them to the point of realization to say, do you know what? It's not about you. There's more to this world than your big head. And these are some of the consequences that you will bump into if you continue along this path. The moment you show it to them, the moment you bring them to that point of realization, if they have something between their ears, they're going to pay attention. They're going to pay attention because maybe, just maybe for the first time, the implication, the consequence, the result of their actions and attitudes and behaviors and outlook in life is now staring them in the face. Let me tell you as a man, no man wants the police to knock on his door and see him walk out of his house with a hands behind him in a handcuff. No man wants that. The same thing in the office. No boss in the office wants a situation where he's gonna go to the police station to give a statement of how he's been maltreating and bullying and abusing and harassing the staff in his office. Nobody wants that. But you see, naturally, people don't think as far as that it could get to that point. But you that is at the receiving end, you need to bring them to that realization. If you do this again, I won't just go to the police. I will go to employment tribunal. I will make sure the whole world knows what is going on in this place. when you set consequences, when you bring people to the point of realizing the effect of their action, you will see how quickly they will change. So by setting consequences, you are helping them to see that it is more than this action, there is a result. And that realization is a wake-up call, and you will see an immediate change in those people. The next thing you can do to help these people, to help difficult and unreasonable people, so that you can live in peace and have peace in your life, you need to identify what is the demonstration, or how are they displaying these difficult characteristics. What is the manifestation of this difficult spirit that's in them? I'm going to give you some examples just to clarify it. You know, some people are, we use the word difficult and unreasonable people very loosely. We use it to cover a multitude of groups and character traits and behaviors. But by you not identifying in what is the exact thing that is making them a difficult person in your life, you won't be able to resolve the issue. You won't be able to tackle the problem. But when you narrow it down to the issue with Janet is that she's always complaining. And once she gets on that road of complaining, everybody and anybody and whoever is in the room is being dragged along. Maybe the issue with Peter is that Peter has a controlling spirit. Maybe the person is self-centered. Maybe the person just like to cling and hang on to. There are different ways by which these people manifest their difficult traits. And quickly, let's look at some of these and how to deal with them. Again, we're going back to our friend. Me, myself, and I. I'm the center of the world. The self-important and self-centered people. These people usually can talk. Oh, yes, they can talk. And in most cases, they're only talking about themselves and their issues and this and me and me. That's all you'll be hearing. And you can't stop. They don't even know when to shut up. What can you do to help these people? Mostly you can just ignore them. Ignore them in the sense that don't pay attention to what they're saying. The reason for that is because they talk a lot, they tend to forget the things they've said just 5 minutes ago. What they said 2 minutes ago, they've forgotten because all they can think of is what they are going to say next. So why should you carry the burden of trying to pay full attention so that you can remember what they're saying when they themselves can't remember it? And because they have that tendency of talking so much and the tendency of not remembering a lot, when you don't pay attention, when you ignore their contribution, when you almost pretend as if they are almost not there, they don't see it as anything because to them, they're still having somebody in the room that they can just talk to, all about themselves. Me, myself, and I. Another way you can handle these people is maybe if you just have a free time. They are drama queens and drama kings. Just sit back and enjoy the soap opera. Watch them display and just use it to unwind yourself. But if you try to go down the route of talking with them and getting into what they are talking about, you will dislike yourself because you will walk away from the whole conversation thinking, all we talked about is this person. Nothing else. Their toothache, their children's school, their car, the pet, their neighbor, their garden, their this, their that. They just occupy your life with themselves. And you go home, instead of using your brain, your energy to deal with your own issue, your head is full of what she said and how he said and this and that. So the best thing is just ignore them. Don't get into long conversation with them. There's another group of difficult people. These are the people that we call the clingers. They just want to cling to you. They just want to attach themselves to you. They just want to, cats. There's something about cats. They don't have to know you. You don't have to be the owner. They don't have to even have seen you before. The moment you stop and pay attention to them, guess what they'll do? They come around you and just rub themselves all around you. Some people are like that. They just can't stay away without clinging and holding on to and touching. And some people are like that. And it just irritates. Come on, get off me. But some people are like Velcro. Wherever you turn, they will attach themselves to you. You can't get rid of them. The truth is, people who are clingers, all they're looking for is somebody to just take care of them and show them some love. But the truth about them is they are never satisfied, irrespective of how much care and love you showered on them. It's never enough. It is never enough. And they feel weak if they are not attached to somebody else. They feel there's something missing if they are not holding on to your coat or touching your table. Clingers are like that. The problem with clingers is you can't deal with them by avoiding them, because that is their issue. Is the fact that they don't feel they are capable. They don't feel they are enough. They don't feel they have what it takes to stand on their own and just be who they are. They feel they have to stretch out and touch something and hold on to somebody and tap into somebody else's strength in order for them to. So by you avoiding them, you're just not helping them. However, because these people they can't even recognize when you politely and openly said, no, leave me alone. It doesn't register with them because of that insatiable desire and longing for them to be connected and be attached to somebody. When they feel they are neutral, when they feel they are not touching, when they feel they are not connected to anything, they feel insecure and it hurts their feelings. So what do you do to them? Number one, help them to grow up. Help them to grow up. How do you do that? How do you do that? Show them how to deal with situations on their own. Oh, is that so? Is that what the issue is? Okay. Why don't you go and think about it and come back to me in the afternoon with some suggested ideas on how you think we can deal with this? And generally what they'll say, oh no, you can help me. Just help me now. You are very good at this. They will try to blackmail you. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Give them specific responsibilities. Give them tasks and assignments to go and do. Because the more you show that you are strong and you are capable and you can handle things, the less they will be at being able to do things by themselves. And because they are less able to, they're heaping their own on you as if you don't have anything on your plate. Give them responsibilities. If it's possible, find a genuine cause and say, you know what? I need your help. Now, to you, let's assume you genuinely need their assistance and help. To you, you need the help and assistance of a friend. But to them, The fact that the you that they've seen as the all-powerful and all-strong and all of that is asking for a help from them, it makes their head just swell up like, wow, I've arrived. Yes, I'm now strong. By you asking for their help genuinely, it will do either of two things. It will either force them to rise up to the standard and deliver on that help, or it will make them walk away and say, I can't help you. Why should I can't even help myself. Now you want me to help you. They'll walk away. Either way, your peace is ascertained. If they help you, they are growing. They are getting stronger. They are getting better. They are less dependent upon you. If they choose to walk away, you now have a free time where you can stretch your arms and shake yourself, knowing that there's no Velcro around you that's going to suddenly attach himself or herself to you. So that's what you do with clingers. Then the controllers. Oh. We all have them, don't we? Controllers have to be right in everything, at everything, with everything, by everything, over everything, under anything. Whatever it is, controllers have to be right. There is always an excuse for their behaviors and always a reason to blame others. Controllers, you know, the reality is when God created everything and created man at the end, and he gave man control and rulership over all the works of his hand, the only thing God never gave man control over is human beings. God never gave another man the right and the authority and the privilege and the power, whatever you want to call it, to control another person. Unfortunately, in today's society, everybody is looking for the power to control other person. And that is a sad case. Controllers I'm almost tempted to say they are the worst of all the difficult and unreasonable people. Controllers. Controllers are perfectionists. They are perfectionists. They are micromanagers. They have the capacity to criticize anything and everything endlessly. Oh, you didn't do this. You said this. You didn't say this. You didn't do this. You didn't go there. You didn't. And they just wear you out. Physically, emotionally, naturally, everything. They drain energy out of you. Controllers will never back down. Even when you show them the facts and figures that says they are wrong and you are right, controllers will still find a way to turn around and say, yes, but. There's always a but with a controller. They don't care about facts as long as they are right. They do not care at all about facts as long as they are right. So what do you do with them? How do you handle them? Don't let them intimidate you. That's all it is. It is a form of intimidation, harassment. Refuse to be intimidated. Refuse to be intimidated. Because in the heart of controllers, they have this feeling of being inadequate. And in an effort to defend their insecurity and their inadequacies, they put blames on you so that you won't have time to look at their own issue. When they tell you are not good enough, you haven't done this right, just know in your heart that you've done it right, you've done the best you know, and if possible, show it to them. Don't be afraid to say it when you believe you've done a good job. Even when they say, yeah, that's good, but, oh, yes, that's good, but, if I were you. Well, thank God you're not me. Because controllers will always find fault in anything and everything you do. And whatever you do with a controller, don't let an encounter turn into a contest or an argument. You'll never win. You will never win, because while you are thinking of what to say or how to say it, their natural inclination is to be like that. So before you say 2 words, they've said 250,000. So how are you going to win with them? Controllers are like that. Then there's another group of people who are competitors. Everything is a competition. Everything, irrespective of how small or how tiny it is, as far as they're concerned, as far as they are concerned, it is a competition. And they must win. They must win. Until they win, they won't let go. You play a game, or you are involved together in something, and you are winning, or you are having an edge over them, they will create a new rule to nullify your being above them and set the table back to 0, and let's start again. Competitors are like that. Whatever you do, don't plead to them. Don't beg them, because that begging them is fueling their power. It's boosting their ego. It's making them tell you in no uncertain word that I'm better than you. To them, everything is a competition. But if you stand your ground and you refuse to be bullied, guess what will happen? They'll let you off and go to the next person they can harass and bully and control. Then there is the chronic complainers. They are just the pain of everybody. They're always complaining. The reason they're always complaining is because in their heart there is a seed. There's a deep root of bitterness and anger. And unfortunately, most of them have not even recognized it, talk less of dealing with it. So because of that, all they can see is complain, is what is not going well, how it's not going well, why it's not going well, who is not making it go well. How do you deal with them? These people have endless fuel and power of bitterness and rage and complaints in them. So don't agree with complaints, or don't try to placate them. You won't win. The only option you have is to either put up with them or walk away from them. Put up with them or walk away from them. Ladies and gentlemen, we have looked at this topic for the 3rd week running. And every time we look at it, every time we think we're digging deep, every time we think we're getting somewhere, it gets bigger. It gets bigger and larger and stronger and deeper. Having said all that we said, the best way, the best attitude, the best thing you can do for yourself in dealing with difficult and unreasonable people is to master the art of communication. Master how to communicate. We did a program some weeks ago where we talked about the principles of negotiation. And I said something that during one of those programs. I said, in life, you either get what you tolerate or what you negotiate. It's the same thing as far as this topic of dealing with difficult and unreasonable people is concerned. It's either you tolerate them or you negotiate your way out of their grips. But the best avenue, the best tool, the best way to do that is to become a very good communicator. Learn and master the art of communication. And as you master this and you start to use it, you use your mouth to deliver yourself from these people. And with that, you have less grief in your life. your confidence will increase, your relationships will be better, and your ability to be yourself will improve. Learn the art and master the art of communication. What are we doing next week? I said in the promo that went out 2 days ago that I'm going to mention what we'll be looking at next week. We're still on this topic of how to handle difficult and unreasonable people. But for next week, I'm bringing it to your house. I'm bringing it to your domot. I'm camping in your front garden. We are going to be looking at how to deal or how to handle difficult and unreasonable family members. Difficult and unreasonable family members. Is it your husband, your wife, your children, your aunties, your uncles, your in-laws, your outlaws, your children? As long as they are in your family, we're going to be looking at how do we handle them. The reason for that is this. The reason for that is this. Everything we have said applies to the people in your family. Everything. All of it. All the principles, the ways, the method, the this, the that. You can apply and use them within the enclave of your family connection. However, there is a big difference between your relationship with your office colleagues, your relationship with your the guy in the supermarket, the man on the train, or the pastor in the church, or the church worker. There is a different level and depth of relationship between you and them compared to the relationship between you and your family. And therefore, when it comes to dealing with difficult and unreasonable family members, slightly, there's some slight differences in what to do and how to do it. So that's what we'll be looking at this time next week. I'm sure you don't want to miss that, because it might just be the answer to that your prayer point that you've been praying about all along. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you again. Thank you so much for honoring me with your time to be on this platform and to share these life principles together, because I believe in my heart that by taking on board some of these things that we've been looking at for the past 35 weeks, by taking on board some of them, we are all becoming better. We are all growing and improving and enlarging and becoming more useful, both to ourselves, our family, our colleagues, our neighbors. The community at large is benefiting from the fact that you are getting better. It was said that the health of an individual is the health of the community. If you are better, if you carry a healthy lifestyle, it will affect and relate to your community. But if you carry virus in you, guess what? Your whole community will catch it as well. So I honor the fact that you are taking the time out to join me on this platform so that together we can learn and become better at who we are. Until next week, when we'll be looking at how to handle difficult and unreasonable family members of yours and mine, you don't want to miss it. You really don't want to miss it. It's going to be one hot session. Please come with very thick skin, because we're going to be knocking on the door to your house and my house. So until next week, when we look at that topic, this is Tunde Dise once again saying we are not going to stop. We refuse to back up, to back down, to give up and throw in the towel. No, we have a purpose. We have a destination. We have a goal that is set before us, and we refuse to stop until we reach that destination, where both ourselves and the people around us will have to say, surely These are better men and better women. I'll see you next week. God bless you. Bye-bye.